Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff, and welcome back to another episode of 5 random knives and some things I like about them. As always, these are not knife reviews. All of the knives that you'll see in this video have reviews, save one. So if there's information that you think is missing, go look up the full review. I will give you the information there. This video is just kind of a showcase. So let's go ahead and dive right in, shall we? Let's start with the CJRB Caldera. Now, there's a lot I like about this knife, but the attitude, I think, is the number one thing. This was CJRB's. This was kind of a little bit of a different knife for CJRB at the time. They had the Taiga at the time, but this right here does a lot of things right. It's a big, kind of beefy budget knife, almost gimmicky, kind of came out at the end of the cleaver craze. But there's a lot of things that this knife does that I think are small touches that make it a lot more functional than just, a collection piece, right? It's not a gimmick. I do like that it's called the Caldera, of course, With my geology background, I love anything that's a reference to geologic terms. I was actually going to say, I think I have a picture of the Vise Caldera out here somewhere. I don't actually, but anyways, mail got here. It's Saturday. So where was I going with this? I got distracted. Oh, yes. The ergos. I love the ergos on this knife. Very, very comfortable right here. You got a little bit of jimping. The blade kind of swoops down right here. Good spot for your hand. You do have a choil, which I actually don't mind on this knife. I'm not a huge fan of 4-finger trolls, but on this knife, it does make a little bit of sense. And then you have this little poon area up here that you can put your thumb in. And this gives you a lot of control over this very big blade. Speaking of that blade, it is a full flat grind. This thing is very, very slicey. It comes down to a pretty darn thin edge for such a big knife. This is a cardboard destroying beast. The action is fun. You've got this big hole here. I do think the hole could have been done differently, but it's not the worst thing out there. The texture on the G10 is really, really nice. I like how they kind of, chamfered this side in and then gave it those kind of radial grooves. I do like the two-tone G10. Again, good texture. You've got a reversible clip. Big, beefy. You've got a nice, big stop pin. This is a very, very fun knife, and I remember when it came out, I was super excited to get it because it was just different from a lot of stuff this year CJRB had been doing up until then, and I still think it is an absolutely cool knife. I think you can still get these. I don't think CJRB has officially discontinued them. I don't know if they're making them anymore, but you can still get these around. I do like the red pivot collar as well. Just a really cool looking knife. Very, very unique, very different. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a real, real good one. Not necessarily, I wouldn't not call this necessarily an overbuilt knife because it is just a basic liner lock. Great action to lock, great access to lock bar actually. But this is, a beefy folding knife. Again, not really overbuilt, but it is beefy. All right, let's go ahead and move on to a fixed blade. I always try and do a couple of fixed blades in these videos with folders, and I also always try and do at least one knife that I'm not a huge fan of, but want to highlight something I do like about it. And in this case, we're going to take a look at this Swiss Tech. This is the Exact, and this is a knife that I do not have a full review of, but that might be changing. I think we'll go ahead and give this knife a full review. I do have a couple videos about this knife. You can check out my Swiss Tech playlist. What do I like about this knife? I like its look, and I like where they were going with this. I don't like the execution, but I like what they're aiming for. Very, very flat, slim knife. Good long row of jimping out here. Very, very slim budget sheath. I do think this sheath is done very well. It's a very simple budget knife plastic sheath, but they gave you a nice little push-off point, and they gave you multiple mounting positions for this clip, which is cool. But this knife came in a kit with a little canvas bag and some fire starting material. And I really, really like that. This here is actually fire cord. So this is flammable. You can use this as a fuel source to get your fire going. This is a cool idea. Having a small, compact fixed blade that you buy with a survival kit. I like that idea. Having a good little fixed blade knife with you is an excellent, excellent idea for any kind of hiking kit, camping kit, survival kit type of thing. And I really, really appreciate that this knife came with the kit. Now, the knife itself, not a huge fan of the execution of a lot of things. I don't really like the ergos. I don't really like the blade or the geometry. I don't like that they did a combo edge here, but I do like what they were thinking. And I hope that they continue to, maybe expand upon their line of, ready to go survival kits. And I hope they make some more fixed blades for them. I do like the colorway on this guy. I do like the colors a lot. I do like the texture of the G10. The fit and finish is good. I mean, it's a well-made little knife, but just not a huge fan of the overall design. But there we go. That's a Swisstech Exact. Next up, a knife I haven't shown in a little while. This is the Civivi Conspirator. I was carrying this a little bit ago and was kind of realizing that I think I like this knife more now than I did when I initially reviewed it. I think one of the things that I didn't like about when I initially reviewed it was that it looked like so many other knives that we and Civivi was releasing. Not that it's a bad looking knife. In fact, I really think it's a good looking knife, but it was just kind of boring. Now, what do I like about it? I like actually just kind of a lot about it. But the handle is what I really, really like. This micarta is not my favorite micarta. I've never been a huge fan of Civivi's micarta as far as texture goes, but this handle, it's contoured and it's shaped and it's like perfectly wide. This is a very, very comfortable knife, and I think it works excellently with this blade. You've got good jimping up here. The micarta is pretty grippy. The action on this knife is really, really good. Good flipping, good flick off the fuller. I do like a lot about that. I think it's a very sleek looking knife. This is a great all-around EDC knife. It's a little bit on the larger side. I'd say this is kind of a, I don't know, regular size knife, whatever that means. But I really do appreciate the handle. It's very, very neutral. This is going to fit everybody's hand, and it just works. It's hand-filling, it's soft, it's comfortable, there's no real hot spots, and it complements the blade very, very nicely. And I think this is a great example of a simple handle that's just done really, really well. Now, we're going to see later on this list a knife that has a handle that's the complete opposite of this that I like for completely opposite reasons. But this just feels good in my hand. And I realize now as I'm making this video that it's one of those feelings that I can't quite explain, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm getting at, or at least I hope you do, because it has that feel. Anyways, cool knife. I don't know if the Conspirator is being made anymore. It might be discontinued. It probably is, but I imagine you can find them around. Yeah, it's a real good knife. Real good knife. Alrighty, moving on to another fixed blade, and actually another knife that I don't like very much. This one was somewhat recently reviewed. This is the F&Gro EF128. Now, you guys know, if you saw the full review, I'm not a huge fan of this knife, but credit where credit is due. I do like the handle. We're talking about handles a lot today. We're talking about ergos a lot. They did this G10 handle very, very well. I do respect a lot of the work that went into shaping it and contouring it. It does fit the hand really, really nicely. It's huge. I mean, it's a big handle, but it does lock the knife into the grip of someone like me that doesn't have the largest hands. You do have areas up here that are chamfered out for different grips, like a pinch grip like this. If you want to do like kind of a, I don't know, like a saber grip for something, it works really, really nice in those areas. I think the handle is definitely the strongest part of this knife. And as far as a design perspective go, I think this is the highlight. I made that clear in the review. I also do like layered G10. You know, this is green and black, and it's nice. It's really, really cool. I think it gives it a really, really neat look. The handles are smooth, but again, because of the way they're shaped, you do feel like you're locked in. And I gotta respect it. You know, I might not like a whole lot else about this knife, but they did do all right on the handle. They definitely know what they were doing, and I am looking forward to checking out some more F & Grau fixed blades in the future, because I do think their fit and finish is actually really, really good. I do think that they've got pretty decent build quality, so that will not be the last F & Grau fixed blade on the channel, I promise. Alrighty, and our last knife, definitely the most striking of the bunch. This is the Sniper Blade Works DMF. This was a Battle Box exclusive with 1095 carbon steel, and it is a steel frame lock. What do I like about this knife? I like that this knife is hideous. This is an absolutely atrocious, ugly looking knife, from this wonky compound grind to the weird angles and swedges and swoops and awkward holes, and it just looks hideous. But it's actually pretty useful. Now, I'm not going to say this is the knife for everybody, because it absolutely isn't, but there's a reason I've kept it around for so long. And part of that is because of the ergonomics. This pistol grip handle is absolutely fan flippin-tastic. This works so well. It makes this huge, ugly chunk of metal a tool. This knife is actually usable. Now, it's not the sliciest thing out there. You know, these grinds are not going to be the most optimized for a whole lot of tasks, but this knife does work, and I gotta respect it. I really do. I actually carried and used this knife quite a bit several years ago, and it's a worker. It's a worker. It might be hideous, but it is a worker, and I can tell that Sniper Blade Works. Why do I keep trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say. I can tell that they absolutely put a lot of effort into planning out their ergos. Very, very cool. Actually, I know exactly what I'm trying to say. There's I think she's a YouTuber. Maybe she's a Twitch streamer. I don't know. I don't really watch her. I think it's Sniper Wolf. But fun fact, she actually made a video about one of my professors and a class that I was a part of and knew. If you've seen the post about the professor who told his class that his irrational fear was hammerhead sharks, and they all came to class dressed as hammerhead sharks. Yeah, that was my professor. So anyways, she made a big video about that, and I remember that was my exposure to her. So I have not thought about her in a long time. That was like years ago, but I guess now I'm trying to bring her name to mind. Anyways, fun facts there. This is a very, very cool knife. Very overbuilt. You got these massive external stops. The clip is not the most amazing thing. I've actually bent mine out. I need to re-bend the clip. I don't think there's an over travel stop. Yeah, no over travel stop, which is kind of weird, but it's a cool knife. This is kind of a budget version of this design. I think this is the only budget version of this design that was ever made, and I don't think they make these anymore, but it's a very, very cool knife. I really want to check out more stuff from Sniper Blade Works. I don't know, they're really cool. They're really cool. They're very unapologetic about their just wild style. So yeah, I'm a big fan. And this knife here, one of those rare gems that is a unique and wild design that manages to be overbuilt and ridiculous, but still functional somehow. I love it. I absolutely love it. So there we go. That's 5 knives and some things I like about them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Big shout out to my channel members at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything you do for the channel. If you want to become a member and support me directly, there's a link down below. As for the rest of you hooligans, if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.